and welcome to Reverend Don Lewis's Zooming with Reverend Don Lewis, where he's going to talk to the latest leaders of the pagan community. And today he's talking with the team behind the Correllian Times. And now we hand it over to the host, Reverend Don Lewis.
Hello, this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from beautiful Florida. And today we're speaking with the editorial staff of the Correllian Times. And if you're not familiar with the Correllian Times, it is a lovely magazine that goes out once a month in a number of different languages. And I'd like to bring on, I would like to bring on the executive editor, the Reverend Stacy Blair.
Hello.
Welcome, Reverend Stacy. How are you today?
Very good. How are you?
I am very good. A little better with another sip of coffee to
of course.
soothe the throat a little bit. So you are the executive editor of the Correllian Times, and you've been doing this for a number of months now. And I was hoping you could tell us a little bit about the magazine, how you came to start it, perhaps a little bit about its past and where it's going in the future.
The Correllian Times is published on the first of every month, and it is wonderful collaboration between a number of people, and we're always looking for more volunteers to write articles, of course. It started in November, and we were tossing around the idea of bringing forth a paper that kind of tied all the different Facebook sites together and different websites together all in one place. So we looked into it. I know Lady Wendy had a wonderful publication, and it had been dormant since her passing. And so we decided to approach Lord Don and Lord Ed and ask for permission to bring back in her honor the Correllian Times.
You've done a wonderful job with it.
Oh, thank you.
And in acting as editor, could you tell us a little bit about how you put it together, how you've drawn different languages, different people into it?
We basically reach out to people that we have come in contact with through the tradition. It's been a lot easier now that everyone's on Zoom and we get to see each other face to face. We get to know our wonderful backgrounds and our strengths. And we reach out to those people, see if they're interested in collaborating with us. And if they just want to write an article every month, one article a month, it's due by the 15th of every month. And we just send out gentle reminders, just, letting them know when that deadline is.
There are some people who have difficulty meeting the deadline.
There are, but we make exceptions for those.
Very cool. Now, we have a number of members of the editorial staff with us today. And would you like to introduce them for us?
Oh, sure. First of all, I'd like to say that the Correllian Times would not be what it is without these wonderful people devoting their time and energy to this paper. So a paper is only as good as the people standing behind it. So we are going to start with my senior staff members are Melinda Whiteley and Pamela Griffith and Ebony Nash. And then we also have our wonderful Dutch translation, Lilith.
Wonderful. So I was wondering if each of you would like to take a moment to talk about your relationship with the magazine and where you hope to see it go in the future. Reverend Melinda, would you like to go first?
Yes. Hello. I write the Scouts article every month for Crystal Cavaliers, which I co-lead with Lady Angela Munn. And so I'll write an article for that, but I also will write any other article that might need to be done, or if there's a special that month or a holiday or, something that we want to write about, I might throw in another article, which we all do. But I also, part of my job is I do the banner at the top every month. So I put these sigils on, I pick the pictures, we collaborate and figure out what colors we want for the month. And I do that part of it. Um, and I'll also go in and fill in space with pictures. So I do a lot of that. And then I also, toward the end, um, recently, with help of others, get help with converting to PDF and getting it ready for release. So
the Correllian Times is very photo and art intensive, I would say. So I imagine that can be difficult at moments in terms of size and so forth. But I think it's an important thing to do. Is there anything you'd like to say about the visual aspect that you haven't already said?
I like, well, when I go in, for example, every month and I'm thinking of a picture, or I'll read over the articles and see kind of like what the context is. And so I'll try to find a picture to fit that. And it's really fun. I go to the Order of Photographers led by Reverend Kyle. And if I don't find anything there, or if I don't obtain permission in enough time, I did find a really lovely public domain website where photographers donate pictures copyright free, and so that's actually where I get a lot of that. But we also get people like Ebony has a lot of beautiful pictures, and Reverend Corey, and so I'll put some of those in as well.
Very cool. And Reverend Pamela Maxwell Griffith, can we come to you next?
Most certainly, Lord Don.
So can you tell us about your experiences with Correllian Times?
Correllian Times, way back when Lady Wendy had it, I believe I wrote an article or two, but that was quite some time ago. I was approached to give a hand. I tend to be a little bit of a prolific writer because I just have so much to say. So I do tend to write a few of the articles. Mine's the Crohn's Corner and Red Tent, and I've been helping out with health, mental health, and the apothecary. It's a lot of fun, and I really, really enjoy putting it together. We do try to get that deadline in stone, which the stones kind of move occasionally. Most of the time, it's that. Then as senior editing staff, I get to jump in and just go in, grammatics, punctuation, making sure things are flowing correctly. Because sometimes when you're writing, I know we all do it, we get in the thought and you're working on that thought and you're like English kind of goes away and you bring it and other things appear. So it's kind of that little bit of help that I like to give the paper. And it happens with all of us because we just get so involved with what you're writing. We're
Yes,
all
indeed.
very, very, very passionate about it. And sometimes we're a little too passionate. But like all creative people, we finally come together in the end. Just going over the articles and seeing some of the wonderful things that are happening in the tradition. I've been with the tradition a long time, and it really helps when you can find everything in one spot. I'll be the very first one to tell you that sometimes even I get confused in figuring out where I'm going on the sites and looking at different things, where the Times gives us an upcoming what's going on. This is to look for, this is to watch. If there are orders coming out all the time. So this is another place where you can actually find out what the orders are, who's in them, and what they're doing so that you kind of get an idea. I can't believe anybody who is Correllian not being able to find something of interest in the paper. And by that way, just sharing parts of what's going on. And I'm going to plug Stacy again and say how wonderful it is to work for her. She's I've worked professionally at writing. So it's really nice to have someone who understands that sometimes you might need that extra 10 minutes to get that thought together. Also, she is extremely patient with any questions we have. And it's just a joy to work with a group of people that are so passionate and dedicated. You wouldn't believe we were all volunteers. You think we were all getting paid for it. We do a wonderful job. It comes together, and it is so beautiful to see when it comes out. And the fact that we're in, and I'm not going to lie, I can't even remember how many languages we're in. To me, 20 years ago, we were lucky we had 4 pages and in English. And now we've got 40 to 50 pages, and it's in I don't even know how many languages. And it's just, you sit back and you go, wow, 20 years ago we were lucky to get 2 writers. Now we have staffs and we have languages, and it's just in 10 years from now I see this coming out like the New York Times.
Very cool. So I want to go back to Reverend Stacy for just a moment. And Reverend Pamela was just talking about the number of languages the magazine comes out in. What is the actual number of languages?
Right now, because of other obligations, we are just coming out in Dutch and Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
But we're hoping by the end of summer, we are working on German, bringing back the Philippine paper, Greek, and possibly an Arabic paper.
Oh, wonderful. That's amazing. How do you find working with all the different translators?
I absolutely love it. I learned so much from them. It's amazing, just the different cultures and different experiences that they bring to the table. It's such a joy to work with them.
Wonderful. Well, let us move on now to the Reverend Sir Ebony Nash.
Well,
Hello, Ebony. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. So can you tell us a little bit about your experiences with Correllian Times?
Well, I had probably read a couple of them back when Lady Wendy was still around, and I enjoyed it, and then kind of lost track of the newsletter until we started this project last year in November. I personally am the editor for the music section, and I also handle some of the PR for the paper as well. I have had so much fun writing about music. I am just so excited, and I hope everyone is enjoying it. And just you don't have to be an expert in anything to be able to write passionately about things. And that's one thing that I've really noticed about all of our writers is how passionate and how very genuine that love of what they're talking about comes through. And it's just really fun to see how everybody evolves as we get as it gets easier to do, and we get a few more editions under our belt. So I'm excited to see where things go.
Yes, indeed. I have to say that I am not aware of any other regular column on music in the pagan world. I'm sure there are other people who have written about music, but I don't know that anyone's doing it on a monthly basis other than yourself. Certainly, if anyone is, they can tell us. But I think that's a wonderful thing.
Wow.
How do you see? How do you see the role of music in the pagan world?
I see the role of music as a very limitless magical tool that I don't think people, they realize but don't quite realize just how powerful it is. I think the way that we use a wand or an athame, you can use music in a very similar way, and that's part of what I love about it so much, is because you can, not only can you find a song to use as an intention for a spell working or energy work, but you can also write music intentionally to do said thing. And that's just what I love to do. So I'm hoping, that I can inspire others to do that more and use music in a more magical way than, we might realize.
That's wonderful. And now, Reverend Lilith, may we come to you?
Yes, you may.
And it's wonderful to see you. I had the great pleasure of meeting you in person many years ago at the
2008.
UK illustration. Yes.
Yes.
So you do the Dutch translation of the Correllian Times.
Yes.
And could you talk about your experiences with Correllian Times?
Well, it's quite a challenge sometimes because, of course, and as you can hear, I'm not native English. So at times it is a challenge, but I've got a secret friend on YouTube on internet. Sorry, that helps me a lot with the translations, and then because I'm also a Dutch teacher for foreigners, I've got a little, how do you say that, a little way to get around things, and so I can whenever a translator is not doing its job, I can just turn it grammatically better than in writing than I speak right now.
Speaking very, very well.
Thank you.
How long does it take to do a translation of Correllian Times?
Well, sometimes it depends. Sometimes I've got more hours in my day than other times. But usually when I do the translations, I take 2 to 3 days max. When everything is set in, I take 2 or 3 days to max to translate it all with the translator on the internet. And but other times when I'm not feeling that well, then it can have a little bit of a delay. And because I'm on my own with the Dutch translations, I am taking the liberty to do a shout out to our fellow Correllians who are also Dutch or maybe Belgian, who
Yes,
can
indeed.
speak Dutch. To, if you have any editorial experience or whatever, please come forward, contact me, contact the crew, and we can set you up to help me.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for all that effort. And I'd like to kind of open up our discussion now to everyone at once, which will perhaps provide technical challenges, but we'll give it a shot. And I was wondering if you could talk about both how the Correllian Times benefits the Correllian community, which we have to some extent, but also the wider community, and how you see the Times as an agent of change and dissemination of information.
I think that by just putting, when we put an article together or write an article, we are not just looking at Correllians, we are looking at pagans in the whole. Our articles speak from our pagan heart. So when we're writing on that, we're looking at pagans. We're not looking at Correllians per se, although we do. But you know, when you're pagan, you're going for that pagan heart. And I think that anybody reading our paper, there's enough information. If you just take one little section, apothecary, we list the herb, we list the magical, we list the medicinal purposes, we list a little cooking with it. So even if you're not pagan, you're going to be interested in the cooking and maybe the medicinal parts of it, or where it comes from. I like to sometimes throw a little history in there, but that can be taken to the community, wider community. Also, when we write, we're writing factually. We're not Hollywood. We love Hollywood, don't get us wrong. I mean, they've come out with some really good witch shows here lately. I'm very excited. But by the same token, when we're writing from real life. So when you're reading the articles, whether it's the astrology article or you're reading about the green tent or the red tent or something like that, it's very factual, it's very down to earth, it's what we do on a daily basis. So we're, I think, tearing down some of that stigma that we run around in black robes all day and giggle maniacally and, you know, herbs and cats all over our house, where some of us go to mundane jobs. Like, I'm an accountant. You can't get any more mundane than that. Let's be honest, guys. So you get to see all sides of it, but you also get to see the personal side, the human side. So I think our paper is more like it goes out there and tells people, hey, these people are pretty cool. And they're not, you know, running around in black dresses and all that kind of stuff. They're writing articles about planting, about doing crafts with your kids, About, sure, tarot, that's a lot of fun. Everybody loves that. Astrology, horoscopes, we all look forward to that. But we're also writing about music. The articles on music are very intense. The articles that are talking about the different groups explains more what we're doing. So I kind of see it as an ambassador for the pagan community. And then we're saying like, okay, we're going out here. This is what we really are. So you don't have to be pagan at all to read it. Find some enjoyment and maybe a little bit of education.
Wonderful. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to say on that subject? Or has Reverend Pam basically summed it up? I think she did a great job of summing it up. So my next question is, if someone wants to read the Correllian Times, where do they find it?
So when we release the Correllian Times, we release it on Witch School International Group. We also release it on the Correllian Membership Hub, which is a public group on Facebook. And several of us will share it out on our personal pages and pretty much wherever. We are working on a website, which will be coming up sometime in the future. And we will have all of the editions, all the monthly articles and everything will be archived, and then we'll also be able to have them posted there as well going forward. So that's something that we're working on as well. But you can find them on Facebook. There were some on Daily Spell that we were able to do, and I think we're looking at uploading there as well. But yeah, the website will be really, really awesome once we get that going too.
Very good. So now I would like to ask if someone wants to do an article for the Correllian Times, who would they contact? How would they go about doing that?
All they would have to do is contact us. We have a Gmail account. That's correlliantimes@gmail.com. Really easy, our name. And throw some ideas at us. We're always looking for different ways of growing, changing, keeping up with things, keeping up with the interests of our readers. And we welcome anybody to come forward, write articles, submit papers, submit artwork, submit anything that they would like to see published. Share their interests, share what articles we should be writing for them. So just reach out at correlliantimes.com or at gmail.com.
Very good. So is there anything else that that anyone would like to add to what we've already discussed? Yes, Pat. You're muted.
Okay, there we go. All I'm going to ask is, you might not think you're a writer, but it's amazing. Sometimes if you write like you speak, it comes out really understandable. But anybody can write an article, and I really like to push it a little bit. As a mentor, there are requirements for all the degrees. So I'm going to put my foot out there and ask the mentors if they wouldn't ask some of their students to write about going to witch school. What did you do? What brought you here? Or even if you use it as one of your requirements and one of the projects is to write an article if they would like to be published in the paper. Nothing gives you a bigger kick than to see an article that you wrote in the paper where everybody can read it. That's kind of a little high you get. But I'm challenging my mentors out there, my fellow mentors. Come on, have some of your students write it. I suggest it to mine all the time. Write an article. Don't know what capture. You don't know who you're going to capture or what you're going to capture when you write something.
Yes, indeed. So I want to thank everyone for joining us. And I want to encourage people to read the Correllian Times. It's a wonderful magazine. And as was stated, it can be in the range of 50 pages long. So there's a lot of information, a lot of articles on a wide range of subjects. And you can find it in the places that were discussed by Reverend Mylinda. You can also, if you're watching this video, chances are you will find Correllian Times on the same page that you're seeing it on. Not in every case, but in most of them, because we distribute to the same places. So we find it on Facebook, on Correllian Membership Hub, Witchful International, many other places. And for more information, you can write to correlliantimes@gmail.com. And thank you, everyone. This has been a pleasure. And I wish everyone a good day. And if you would like to recommend subjects for future episodes of Zooming with Rev Don, you can send them to me, Rev Don Lewis, at donlewishp@aol.com. And we hope to have many more interesting shows for you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for being with me. Have a wonderful day.